Hey guys, I'm Devin from Dr. Garage, and today you're going to hear me talk about tires. That's right, this is a small drift tire review. I've been involved in drifting for about the last 8 or 9 years. I've been driving pretty consistently the past 3. I drift a 1986 Toyota Corolla. It's powered by a Beams 3SG out of a Toyota Atrezzo. Last time we had on the dyno, put down 201 wheel horsepower, 149 foot-pounds of torque at the wheels. Unfortunately, one of the downsides of drifting or driving an AE86 like this one is the parts availability, which also means tires. This car, I have 15-inch wheels on it. Some people have said, Dev, why don't you just fit 17-inch wheels on here? And honestly, I'm not going to. I've looked into it, I just don't like the way they look. They're too big for the car, I feel like. So I'm gonna keep sticking with my 15s. The problem with the 15-inch wheels is that there just really aren't a whole lot of good tire options. Especially when you start getting more power and you're looking for more grip and trying to find something that's gonna be budget friendly. Over the past 2 years, I've gathered a bunch of data on all the tires that I've tested, and I've compiled all of that information in a nice, easy format to understand in this video. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Before I get into talking about these specific tires, I wanted to be upfront so I have zero affiliation with any tire company. So I get nothing out of making a negative review or a positive review out of the tires that I'm talking about today. I do, however, have a sponsorship with a local tire or a local auto repair shop, Ocean Isle Auto Repair in North Carolina. These guys help me out with tire pricing and tire mounting. So that's how I've been able to test so many different tires, is that I've been able to use them and what I can get through them to try and test all kinds of different stuff. So shout out to Kegan Bad for always hooking me up and getting my tires mounted. And shout out to also Stacy Bad and Larry Bad for helping me out with tire prices and give me a place to come and chill sometimes. I'll give you guys some information before we get into the tires. I know I'm just stacking stuff in here, but I wanted y'all to think about and be aware of what affects tire wear and tire life. There are all kinds of different things that I could list out, but I wanted to focus on 3 main ones. The first one is gonna be driving style, which also kind of includes tire pressures, alignment settings, how much steering angle you drive with, and so on. So I just wanted to include that all in one thing under driving style. My car really hasn't changed that much in the past 2 years, and I gathered this information from, so you shouldn't see a huge variation in that, and that shouldn't change my review and the tire life I get and the grip that I get. It's all been pretty consistent. Next, track surface. A rough track surface is going to wear your tires more than a smooth track surface, and also how grippy or how slippery the track surface is changes your tire life. Here in Myrtle Beach, where I've been testing out most of these tires, I drive at the Myrtle Beach Speedway, which is a really rough surface. It's an older track, so they haven't repaved it in a long time, which means it's pretty rough. For them and for the normal races they do, this is a good thing, because at the normal races like mini stock racing or stock racing, having a rougher surface evens the playing field between drivers and car setup. So you have to be a really good driver to win at those kind of races. So that's why they won't repave. Unfortunately, what that means for us as drifters is it actually decreases our tire life by increasing our tire wear. So that's something I'm having to deal with here. And I'm only, I'm going through 6 to 8 tires in a day for a car that has 200 horsepower and weighs 2,200 pounds. So that's quite a lot of tire for what I'm doing. Lastly, heat. Heat is the #1 killer of tires. So when you get a tire too hot, that's when it starts to delaminate or chunk apart, especially on cheaper tires that don't have as good a bonding process. That's why you wear through tires, mainly, is tire temperature. To combat this, aside from changing different tires, looking for something that has a harder tire compound that'll hold up to higher heats. One of the things that I've tried to do, or at least what I've done at the end of this season, is I've mounted an onboard tire sprayer. Essentially what this does is I can push a button in between runs and spray water on the tires to cool them down in hopes that they'll last longer. I haven't really had a whole lot of testing done on this yet. So far I can say it looks good, but I didn't include that information within my tire reviews because that would skew all of the data and everything that I think of these tires. Alright, now let's finally get to the tires. I rank these based on price, grip, and tire life. These are the 3 main things that I looked at. And I've rated them out of 0 to 10 scale. That way you can kind of understand where I'm at and compare my information to what you think of these tires. So here are the 7 different tires that I'm rating today. We have the Achilles ATR Sport 1. We have the Antares Ingen A1. We have the Sailun Atrezzo SH406. We've got the Kenda KR17. We have the Ironman Imove Gen 2. We've got the Doral 4XS. We've got the Nika Avatar. All these tires are available in a 15, 16, 17, and 18 in various widths. In my reviews, I'll list the tire width and sizes that I tested. Okay, let's start with the Achilles ATR Sport 1. Let's just get it out of the way. If any of you looked at drift tire reviews, there's a Facebook group actually called Drift Tire Reviews, or have looked or talked to people about these tires, they have terribly low ratings. People don't like them, and for good reason. So I ran a 195/50/15 and a 195/60/15, which kind of varied my price between $35 a tire up to $47 a tire. Now the pricing that you see might be different than what I see. They might be a different retail price. This is just what I paid for them. The reason why they're rated so low is that even though they have phenomenal grip, they blow apart so fast. I'm lucky to get 3 to 4 laps out of them without using a tire sprayer. If I use a tire sprayer, I can get more, but that takes away from data, so I digress. It's really unfortunate because the grip helps me to keep up with faster cars and faster drivers, especially during a competition. But when they blow apart from too much heat, like they delaminate to the point where I think that they're a retread. Like there's so much tread left on what's still on the tire, but what's there, I can peel it up and like reach underneath. It's awful. So pretty much unless you're looking for a low budget tire to keep up with somebody for a couple of laps, there's no reason to buy these tires. I rate these a 2 out of 10. Up next are the Antares Ingen A1. These were recommended by a couple of buddies of mine. They like using them not only as rear tires, but one of them actually loves using them as a steer tire. I got these in a 195/55/15. Typically, these are pretty expensive, like $70 a tire, but every now and then they go on sale and you can get them for $50 to $55 per tire. These tires are okay. I'm not particularly a fan of them, but I don't necessarily dislike them. They're just kind of a mediocre tire to me. They've got decent life, and they've got pretty decent grip until you start to get them a little bit too hot, then they get really greasy, and also if you keep driving on them, they'll start chunking apart. Not necessarily delaminating, but chunks start falling off of them. The grip stayed consistent up until that point, which was good, especially for, you know, if you get these at a discount. But once they start coming apart, I mean, there's no saving them. And because they get greasy, I really don't particularly care for them. I probably wouldn't buy these again. For the price, I'd much rather buy something else. I rate these a 3 out of 10. Okay, up next, the Sailun Atrezzo SH406. These I ran in a 195/55/15. They're priced about $35 to $45 a tire, depending on where you buy them and when you buy them. These are probably about the same as the Antares in terms of life, and maybe grip. There's a few little caveats there, and I'll explain those. The grip was maybe a little bit more inconsistent. They start to get a little wandery. I don't know how else to better explain it. I ran through about 6 or 8 of these, and the car just wandered around a little bit, and it was really weird. I don't know if it's sidewall flex or people call it side bite, so it was a little inconsistent from that aspect. However, they didn't get greasy like the Antares did, so it wasn't like when they got hot, all of a sudden it was slipping everywhere. The car just kind of wanted to wiggle a little bit. But once they did get hot, I got them past that boiling point, it started to chunk and delaminate, and so on my car, because it's a solid axle, if there's a big sweeper on a course, I tend to just strip off that outer edge on the outer wheel, and that's exactly what happened. I give these a 5 out of 10. Because they're cheaper, they seem to be a better tire over everything else, and because the grip didn't get greasy, I like them more than the Antares Ingens. Let's talk about the Kenda KR17. The go-to tire for most grassroots drifters, and even Pro-Am guys, and probably even higher than that, are the Kenda KR20. That's such a great tire because it's got incredible life and a pretty consistent and decent grip. They're also available in a variety of widths, so it makes it a prime choice for a lot of these guys. However, they don't make them in a 15. So I tried to find something that was gonna be maybe similar, so I decided I'll give the KR17 a try. It's still a KR, but not the 20. I was hoping I'd get some little bits of what the KR20 is known for. I ran these in a 195/55/15. These are about $45 to $55 per tire. They have more consistent grip than the Sailun or the Ingens. They tend to last a little bit longer, and they're priced right in the middle of the two. So I like these better than the Sailun or the Antares. They're a good balance of budget, grip, and life. However, once they get towards the end, they tend to delaminate just before the cords. These I would rate a 5.5 out of 10 because they're pretty much right there in the middle of everything. Ironman Imove Gen 2. These are recommended once again by some of my other friends that run 17-inch or 18-inch wheels. These I ran on a 195, 55, 15. They're about 50 to 60 bucks a tire, kind of depending on where you buy and when you buy. The grip is pretty decent on these. I actually was really happy. They seem to be a little bit more grippy than the other tires I've talked about, especially compared to the Kenda, a little bit more grip. The price is higher. I mean, I think it's probably worth the money. And if I'm going to spend $50 a tire, these are probably the ones. I'd probably rate these a 6 out of 10 because they still did delaminate a little bit at the end, similar to how the Kendas do. All right, second to last tire I'm gonna review today. The Doral 4XS. It's also called the Solar 4XS. So pretty much the important thing to know is the tire model is the 4XS. I got this in a 195 60/15. That's one of the downsides of this tire is it's got a pretty tall sidewall, so it's not exactly the most desirable tire size. Also, the price is kind of high. It's 60 bucks per tire. It's higher than pretty much all the other tires I've been drifting on. However, it has the absolute best tire life out of anything I've used. 2 of these tires held up to 2 15-minute hot lap sessions, meaning I ran 2 different hot lap sessions and didn't have to change tires that lasted the entire time, and afterwards they're worn like perfectly smooth. No delaminating, no chunking, no nothing. The grip is a bit underwhelming. So they're more expensive, they're not really as good of a tire size, and the grip isn't great. It's not terrible, but it isn't great. So that's what it has going against it. However, the tire life was amazing. If I'm looking for a tire for hot lapping, this is the one for me, for sure. I would give this a 7 out of 10. The last tire I'm reviewing for you guys, the Nika Avatar. This tire is a 195 50/15. So it's a better sidewall size than almost anything else I've driven. There's a couple other ones that have that same shorter sidewall, but that's what I was able to get on this. Now, my price on these was anywhere between $32 and $37 a tire. When I looked at full retail, before I did this video, it looks like even some places are selling them for like $80 a tire. For me, this was the best budget-friendly tire. The tire life was not as good as the Doral, but it had better grip. The tire life of this is pretty much about where all those other middle range tires are. The KR17, the Ironman Imove, that's pretty much where the life is at. It also had similar grip as the Ironman. For me, it was way cheaper. So if I'm trying to figure out, do I want a tire that's got better life, or do I want a tire that's a better price, this is kind of the breaking point between the Doral and the Nika Avatar. When I added up how many tires I went through based on laps, and in a full drift day, I get more tire for my money buying more of the Nika Avatars. So I can buy 6 to 8 of the Nika Avatars and have less money invested than if I were to buy 4 to 6 of the Doral 4XS. I would give this an 8 out of 10. All this is in preparation to review a drift-specific tire in a 15-inch size. Next week, I'm gonna be testing the Valino Greeva. It's a 205 50/15, so it's wider than anything else I've ran. It's got a good sized sidewall. It's not too tall, so I'm not gonna get sidewall flex. And from what I'm told, they last a very, very long time. But they're $95 a tire. Next week we'll see, is it worth the money to buy the Valino Greeva? These tires are super meaty.